Hello traders and investors, I'm L.A. Little and this is your weekly NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective, each time asking ourselves what happened last week and what might it tell us about the coming ones. Do a show every Sunday evening broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube and the Sunday channel L.A. Little. Also do a daily show where we look at a shorter term time frame. In all these shows, we try to give you a feel for what's coming next, whether it be on the weekly, on the daily, and we do that with members. We do trades live with them. If you want to see what we do, just pop over to Get Started. $15 a month. And if you can't afford $15 a month, I don't know why you're trading. Maybe you're just interested, but even if you're interested, it seems to me like you'd get an education, and that is what we do here, as well as give ideas. So without belaboring that point anymore, let's move over and take a look at what happened last week. If we look at the ending quotes, you had a down week, in particular on the Russell. Russell hit off the oil. A big factor in the Russell is the oil market. Oil market looks to me like you got a little bit of a reversal on Friday. But I don't know how much farther that's going to go. We'll try to take a look at that chart. But down on the year overall, slightly down on the listed issues. If you look at the individual numbers from Friday, the things that would point out, at me, that jump out at me, I should say, is the DAX, how it traded down 1 3/4 point. There's some real issues, in particular with the banks in Europe, and that continues to be a problem. You also had difficulty in Asia. If you think about it, all the markets worked lower, right? And now they've gotten a huge bounce, one of those V-shaped reversals again. Now the question is what kind of reversal are they going to get back to the downside now that they've made this unsustainable move to the upside? And how will that play out? How far will it go, right? Will it just keep going? That's another question. Will it bounce? And if it bounces, how far is it going to go? Those are the questions you have to answer to try and ask, to try to situate yourself right for whatever the next move is. So all the indexes are pretty much flat by the end of the day domestically. Didn't get much of a move. Elsewhere, dollar was pretty flat. Dollar actually did a reversal on Friday as well. A lot of reversals last week, so let's take a look at some of those. And I'll start here with the S&P 500. What you've done is you've gone up vertical, and that's what we were just talking about, right? So if you look at this, it's a vertical move up, right? And now that you've made that move, you do an over-under. And an over-under on an extended market like this is a 2-bar reversal. You went over it, you went back under it, you have less volume, it's going to try to pull back. And if you ask where it's going to try to pull back, that's what you should be focused on. Where can it pull back? Is it going to pull back in the high of the lows? Is it going to come into this high of the low? Is it going to stop somewhere in between there? That's the kind of thing you have to answer. That is what I do for the members here at TA Today, and it wouldn't be fair to them or to myself to give that away every week to all of you for nothing. But that's the kind of answer you need to make for yourself. You need to find what is significant on the charts. That's what Neoclassical does, and then you need to ask yourself, is that realistic, and can it trade there, and how will I know when it gets there if that's as far as it's going to go? And that's the sort of stuff that I lay out to members and laid out again this morning to members, and what my expectations are on this pullback. You saw it here. You saw it actually in all the indexes. Whether we're looking here at the NASDAQ, you've got the same picture in all these cases. NASDAQ, NDX, all of them, same sort of scenario across the board. Now, if we move overseas, we have failures there as well. On a daily chart, you can see it here in the DAX. The DAX has been playing with the Draghi bar for a week and a half ever since it was created. That's this big bar that was off of Draghi's statement, his broadcast, conference call, actually conference. And as we've tried to get over it, we finally got over it on Thursday, give it all back. On Wednesday, give it all back on Thursday. Friday, of course, we were off. This is back inside the bar. Once you get back inside of it, that becomes the range again, right? That's a bar of significance. Again, neoclassical. You're trying to ask what's significant. That has the characteristics of an anchor bar. An anchor bar is either wide price spread, high volume, or swing point. This one actually has all three, which makes it extremely significant, and that's why you look at it. You can't get over it, right? You get over it, go right back into it, going to try to get the other side. As a matter of fact, if you take that same bar and you look elsewhere, for example, if you look in France, you're going to see it's already underneath it, right? Now the question is can it get even deeper, change its trend, go sideways on a daily chart, right, up underneath it. So as France comes back, as Germany comes back, as the European market works itself lower, primarily off of the strength that's going to be taking place again here in the euro as it has pulled back in reverse now, that's going to put pressure on those markets. And if we go back to the DAX, and I'm going to pull it over to a weekly now, you can see here the DAX has done the same sort of thing where it's made the run, just like our markets has, of course, weaker, just like most of the markets around the world, but it's made its big bounce, right, and now it's trying to roll back over. We've seen this sort of thing before. We saw it back here in November, right? Rolls over, gets a bounce, and then takes it down. We're wondering how this one's going to play out. Again, where can it pull back to? How far do you expect it? Where do you put your buy points if you want to buy, or where do you short? Do you short here? Those are the kind of questions you always have to answer. And to members, I'm open to those questions all the time and do help each and every one of them with respect to that. As far as the other part of the world, if we go over to Asia using Hong Kong, we can see how Hong Kong has started to roll over as well. Now Shanghai had a nice big push, got over a swing point, but he wasn't able to build on it. And I even told a member who had asked me specifically, you know, could this, and actually the question came in here, and I said, yes, it could make it to 3,000. That was my number. And they were thinking a lot more. It was on this bar they asked me. And then, of course, it shot right up to it. We were talking about this as the significant resistance. As it came into these bars, that's what happened. You can see it here on the TA Today charts. They give it to you. Rolls back over. Will it try to bounce back up there? Yeah, because why? Now it's going to do a bullish retest regen. First, it's this swing point high here that's into, right? Then it has these other two that it's going to work on. And so as it comes into this area, this becomes a strong support area, or at least it should be. That should lead to a bounce back up. Then you'll find out, is this thing going to do something more or not? And the fact that this has volume on it, right, suggests that it is going to bounce back up there and at least test it. That's Neoclassical Network. As far as what's going to happen this week, you got to pull back in effect. You got two-bar reversals. Two-bar reversals say sideways to down at best. And so I would be looking for exactly that. That's it for tonight's show. Have a great one. Join me. Become a member. Cheap, a lot of good information, a lot of actionable information, and a heck of an education for $15 a month. Take care. Good night.